Hello YouTube, Liverpool fan in Japan here, the Miyazaki man Sai. If you like analytical, in-depth discussion away from the Jones is crap, play Graven Birch. Why play Graven Birch? Because it's quality, mate. If you want more in-depth analysis and proper discussion over the common fan, then this is the right place. Make sure you subscribe for more content. And saying that, Trent is an absolutely quality player. Liverpool's vice captain, second in command behind Van Dijk, part of the leadership team. Took the game by the scruff of the neck. His delivery, his drive, his game intelligence, his tactical awareness, his delivery, his set pieces. There's lots to love about Trent Alexander-Arnold. Burst on the scene as a fresh baby-faced youngster. Recently signed a humongous deal with Adidas away from Under Armour, I believe. But for all his quality and his good attributes and his individual flair and talent, he will never be Steven Gerrard. Now, there's a lot of calls to put him into midfield. Even Carragher, Jamie Carragher, Liverpool legend centre-back, fantastic player, questionable person perhaps. He said, sign a quality right-back, a first-team starting right-back to push Trent into midfield. Now, straight away, there's that argument, does Trent play midfield? Should he play midfield for England? He's counted as a midfielder in the England squad. Here's why I think it's a terrible idea. There are games where he can play there because obviously he's got enough attributes and quality and talent. He's a world top tier level player who can play in multiple positions. True that. He could probably even play left back, left wing, wherever you want to put him and still make some kind of telling contribution because he'll always have that delivery, right? The song Trent, wherever you may play, when you whip in a ball is a goal all day. Liverpool fans in Japan, we sing that sometimes. So no matter what the haters have to say, you're a Scouts heartbeat and you're here to stay. I should make that into a proper song. It's sung in the Liverpool fan bar. Anyway, I digress. Basically, one of Trent's main qualities is space to move into with the ball. Now, whether this is before he receives the ball or whilst he receives that ball, driving with the ball, one touch out of his feet, delivering the ball with quality. Absolute uber quality from the right deep position. Now, this is something we haven't seen so much this season, right? In that traditional 4-3-3 system, Robertson bombs down the wing, gets beyond the winger, can cut inside as well, plays the intricate 1-2s, get around the back and cross it in. Good whip ball delivery by Robertson, but even Trent has a better delivery from deeper positions. Not only does he have to get to the byline or bypass the fullback or 1-2 or let Salah cut inside to overlap him or even underlap him if he wants a shooting chance as well. Alexander-Arnold in the half space, right side of midfield, even just beyond the half space, he can whip in that quality arched curve ball that drops on the sixpence for a striker to finish either with the head, predominantly the head, or at his feet to smash it in as well. Alexander can hit that ball. Gerrard can hit that ball as well. But there are physical attributes that Trent will never match up to Gerrard in, and that's athleticism. Paul Scholes said it best. Could Gerrard do what Scholes did in the Man United team? Yes, but Scholes couldn't do what Gerrard did, not because of Gerrard's uber talent, because Scholes was really talented as well. A very technical player, a genius, absolute genius, central midfield dynamo. He would dominate games through precision, passing, technical capability and technical prowess. Was Gerrard is more of a roamer, right? And this is why I have sometimes trouble putting Gerrard into a central midfield spot in a Liverpool all-time 11. I need to make that video as well, because Gerrard wants to take the game by scruff of the neck. He's got that dynamism, that athleticism to get the ball, demand the ball, get on the ball, make things happen. He wants to do the Alonso role. He wants to come back and do the Mascherano role, cleaning up. He wants to pick the ball off the defence. He wants the ball to be dropped back to him from Heskey or Crouch or whoever is up front. Gerrard wants to be everywhere, maybe not in the left wing position. He's quite good there as well. You know, in younger days, cutting side, jinking in, cutting it in across Everton, smashing it in. That was beautiful as well. Gerrard could literally play every single position effectively. I'm going to say it, Gerrard is a better right back than Trent Alexander-Arnold if they played as well. However, the reason why Gerrard was so effective was he was lightning off the mark. His acceleration was out of this universe. His first burst, right? And his intention to go through, go gung-ho to get the ball. I don't think there's any midfield player in history, ever in the human race, that has a total package that Steven Gerrard has, right? Amazing long shot. Absolutely thunderous power in there, in that right foot. Can shoot from anywhere. But it's not just a driving shot, which he did on free kicks versus like Portsmouth, for example, but also the arched curve, absolute smacker, is against Middlesbrough on the right hand side, where he cuts across the ball with so much venom and power that arching dip. It's Roberto Carlos like, except for this one travelled higher than Carlos's one against France. He's good in the air. He's great at tracking back. He's great at slide tackling, lunge tackling. He is an absolute physical specimen. He cannot be bossed around. He can drive. He can defend. He can ping long balls. Whose crossing is better from a deep position? Gerrard's or Trent's? Now, both of them are absolute highest tier, highest quality. If you had to pick one from that deep right-sided position to cross in the ball in and behind the defence, looping, arching to drop on the sixpence, I'll probably take Trent's delivery just because he's specialist in that delivery area. The whole role and transition for Trent from the fullback to the wing back to the right-sided midfielder into the half space to get him in that position is our most effective area. It's actually Salah's most effective area as well, because Salah can either go around the outside, which he did against Man City, jinking in, putting Laporte on his ass, going and hitting with right foot. He tried against Courtois in the Real Madrid final. Unfortunately, that one didn't go in. Great save by Courtois, but traditionally Salah would have jinked in to curl it with the left foot, right? But sometimes smash it front post if the keeper's committed too much. But Trent, the whole concept of playing Trent in the right back slot was to get him in that position, to get his head up with space, because nobody really wants to mark a fullback, right? Obviously, you've got Salah and the striker going out wide, making a nuisance, giving Trent the opportunity to whip it in with a Mane at the back post or Firmino or anyone in and around the back post, because that was Trent's bread and butter. Gerrard has that quality as well. Actually, they're almost about equal. You probably give the nudge just to Trent because it's his specialist ploy from that right-sided position. Who can hit a cut pass or daisy cutter or a lofted ball from right to left? They both can. Now, this is where Trent has one advantage over Gerrard. The left-footed switch from right to left. Trent's left-footed switch is also very, very good. Now, Gerrard's left foot is good. He has hit some good goals with his left foot. But just that cross transitional pass, Trent's slightly better on the left foot, moving the ball across. Who can play the ball quick, tiki-taka, one touch? They're both fairly good at that. But Gerrard has a bit more around him because he can get himself out of trouble with that burst of pace, with that little bit of jinking, attacking flair. He's probably got a step over or two more than Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent Alexander bursts forward with physicality, but he's not as fast as Gerrard in terms of max speed or in terms of acceleration or dribbling skills. Who would be the one to dribble out of a tight space or to worm their way out of a tight space? Probably be Gerrard. Who's the one in a 50-50 clash will come away with the ball more often than not? It'll probably be Gerrard. Who'll go full blood, hurdling, crunching into that tackle, probably get a red card? It's Gerrard again. Saying that though, who will get more red cards throughout the history? It'll be Gerrard. It'll probably be Souness. But no, we're talking about Gerrard and Trent here. Gerrard as well. So as an all-around player, Gerrard could play centre-back. He would have been an outstanding centre-back, like Van Dijk pinging the ball across. I'm not sure about his lane closing or defensive discipline or positional play even, because that's the manager's headache. Why Rafa Benitez put him onto the right-hand side, because he's tactically indisciplined to hold a position in midfield for the tactics and for the shape and for that compact effect, because he just wants to be Roy the Rovers. He wants to be everywhere, right? So yeah, there's obviously a space for Gerrard in an all-time 11, but you have to squeeze him. You can't just chuck him in central midfield. That's lazy. That's a lazy argument. I mean, you could take advantage of it. You could exploit that. You put your Makaleli, SCN or whatever to crunch him in, box him in, and negate some of his effectiveness, and then play in and around him, behind the spaces that he vacates in the midfield. Holding the midfield triangle, at least a duo, in a 4-2-3-1 or something, is very important. And Gerrard doesn't really like to stay in position. Except in his older days, he tried to do that with Brendan Rodgers, but once again, not the most effective at holding his position, because he had to do that for England as well to facilitate Lampard going forward. And that's what I mean. When I say there's no similar players to Gerrard in the history of football, it's that complete package who can play right back, left wing, centre back, ping the ball out wide, tackle, crunch, absolutely coont it into the goal. Those last minute winners. Those when you're looking at a player to give the ball to say, go on, son, make my day, get the ball, get us a point, get us a goal, get us a victory, make something happen. That ball over the top, West Ham Cup final, into Cisse, bang, one back. You want one player to make that game-winning play. It's Gerrard all day. Trent is unfortunate that his era is a stronger Liverpool team. Now, in the team that Gerrard played in with Danny Murphy and Smitsa and Bischan and Diao and whoever, right? You had to look at Gerrard. I don't know why we never really had quality wingers back in the day. We just couldn't afford them, or we couldn't find them. There was the Joaquins, or even the Jose Antonio Reyes, the David Silva. There's loads of quality out there that we could have got, and we ended up with people like Riera, right? He's kind of the next tier below. Harry Kewell was quality, but always injured. I really respected Kewell as a player. He's a technical winger. But Trent has quality in and around him, which is why he won the Premier League. He won the Champions League. He's won everything, right? At a young age. He's surrounded by quality. In that regard, you don't always look to Trent as the option to save your bacon, because there's so many game winners, potential game winners in Trent's era. Saying that though, the team does look to Trent because he's the outlet. The game was designed to push players on into advanced positions where the players had to mark those players to give Trent the space to roam into, to move into from the fullback position. Obviously, they'd be looking to turn us over in case his ball goes, wonky, and playing behind the space of him, which is why we've transitioned him to a box formation, because now it negates that space behind him, having shifted the right-sided centre half, usually Konate, into that position, or even Szoboszlai, into that position, or the defensive midfielder McAllister or Endo into that position to cover him as a starting base. Henderson was very, very important for facilitating Trent to allow him to go forward into that half space to get his head up, and that is why Trent got the ball and got so many assists. It's because you cannot mark a Trent Alexander-Arnold, when all of the progressive players are pushing forward. The Firmino, the Mane, the Salah, when all these players are on your last line, on your ass, there's a massive ass hole in and around that space in the defensive third, because you just can't press them. That front three was deadly. So what do? That's why that team was so effective. Robertson racking up the numbers, Trent racking up the numbers, the front three racking up the numbers, a workman-like midfield, Fabinho, Henderson, Gini Wijnaldum, super, super underrated. Gini Wijnaldum is about as underrated as Yossi Benayoun, because Benayoun, my goodness, was such a, slight fella. His turns, his jinking, his way of trouble, right? Even when he shoots, he didn't have much power in his foot, but he actually mule kicked it with his whole body and the ball went in. Real Madrid did not know about our Yossi, because our Yossi done them hard. Anyway, I digress again. Trent was fortunate enough to play into an exact formation and tactical style that Klopp and Pep Linders and all of the background team facilitated for Trent to shine. Now, even now, Pep Linders took a bet and said he'd salary sacrifice a year of his wages if Trent utterly failed in that position. And obviously he hasn't lost any wages because Trent has excelled. We won lots and lots of points when Trent's transitioned to that box formation, the kind of two pivot with playmaking ability, with license to drive through the lines. And giving Trent this role also proved vital in the Man City game, because we knew that Doku would target him, and we knew that Man City would try to isolate and target him. But Trent, as I made in the last video, performed a defensive masterclass. Now, what is the facilitator behind Trent being able to roam and go into the spaces that he deems more valuable? He said in the middle it's congested, and Bernardo Silva man-marked him going out wide. Bernardo Silva didn't want to be dragged out there, and that's where he found the space, eventually into the right half space vacated by Salah, who pushed further on to receive the ball. The run by Gakpo allowed the Man City players to open up a gap for Trent to drive in with one touch and bang, finessed into the corner. This is where Trent's game intelligence and his growing understanding of the game comes into play, but you have to have intelligent personnel to allow him that position, because you have to cover for his roams. When he vacates a position, right, and this is where Klopp is more flexible than Guardiola. Guardiola is about position, style of play, phases of play, patterns of play. The patterns of play of Man City are beautiful. If you read it in a book, you still can imitate what Guardiola is doing with the patterns of play, because even when the whole team shifts and rotates around, the right player or the right type of player is always in the right position for his pattern of play, whereas Liverpool is a little bit more fluid in the way that the shape can transition for your 4-3-3 to your 4-1-4-1 block, where you allow your lone defensive midfielder to cover in front of the four-man defence, forming the free block, the triangle, two centre-backs, that person. Fullbacks can push forward and a solid bank of four in the middle in a kind of box with one up top. Two can go out wide if necessary. Two can position themselves to transverse in through the midfield. Obviously, you've got Szoboszlai and Gravenberch, who's very adept at breaking the lines with that type of run as well. There's so much flexibility to allow the type of creative player like Trent, like Szoboszlai, like Gravenberch to do their thing and move around, rotate and roam to where they see fit. Now this is where a flair player, creative player with game intelligence can break the tactics somewhat and follow a more kind of provisional approach, whereas this is your responsibility, this is the player you mark up. On offensive transition, this is what you do. On defensive transition, this is what you do. But when you see an opportunity and a space to go into, you go into that space, because the instruction for Curtis Jones or Endo or McAllister or even Szoboszlai to back up Trent is to back them up, right? So you work in partnerships, you work in triangles, and you got to figure out, if my buddy is doing this, I do that. If I do this, he's going to cover me there. You got to have that confidence in your teammate, and this is where Trent is fortunate again, because he will be covered. The system is designed to protect him. Similarly, McAllister in Lone Six, Klopp mentioned, he doesn't need or doesn't have a Fabinho, because it's very rare to find a combination of abilities that Fabinho had as a lighthouse and a vacuum sweeper, the Dyson. Similarly, Gerrard, he didn't have the fortunate position to have the teammates of the caliber to cover his position. But then again, it's hard to cover Gerrard because he really, really wants to pop up everywhere and always get the ball and get on the ball, which is why when Alonso was playing, which is why he's my favourite player, Alonso dictated the shape of the play because Gerrard knows that even in between the lines, if he gets in the right position and works hard off the ball, Alonso can thread the ball through to him, or he can thread the ball and get the ball to the player who will get the ball to Gerrard. Now, this is very interesting. Now, this is something I think not many channels or even news sites have covered, right? The ability for the absolutely supreme player, you're talking Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, Xabi Alonso, Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, now even Rodri, to get the ball to the player of significance like De Bruyne or a Gerrard or even a Yaya Toure in advanced position. Sometimes you have to play kind of 4D chess. You have to get the ball to the player who will facilitate that player by opening up the space. Okay, and this is similar to the fact that when you play the ball back to the centre back, it can be a trigger for that winger either way to run, depending on the body shape of Van Dijk, about to ping the ball over, because he does play some first time balls to Salah or Mane previously. This is similar, that when you're opening up that position and your key player is being man marked, similar to Bernardo Silva on Trent, you transition the ball over, a little chip ball to the fullback who will ping it into the centre, into the space in and behind the centre back, because you trust that Trent or Szoboszlai can outpace the other player to that ball in that pocket of space, which will allow you to progress, breaking the press. Unfortunately, we tried that again and again with Curtis Jones in the Man City match, because he was the one we tried to ping into space, right? Especially McAllister breaking that line with a kind of controlled through ball, a slowed backspin through ball through that first midfield press onto Curtis Jones to pick up, and Curtis Jones chose the wrong decision. Now, this could be rustiness, this could be coming off, the kind of break, the suspensions and the injuries. If it wasn't Curtis Jones, what if it was Gravenberch? What if it was Szoboszlai? What if it was a progressive midfielder who could really take advantage of that? Because Curtis Jones can. He has offensive capabilities. It just wasn't his game. We could have even won that Manchester City game. But I'm very, very sure that when Trent Alexander retires, he'll have more individual recognition and team kind of contributions in terms of trophies than Steven Gerrard. But Trent is his own player. He is a world-class right-back who needs to stay in that deeper position to give him time to see the game, the vision, the game developing in front of him, to be in that defensive position for that transition, to make his defensive contribution, to shield the player away or as part of a unit or to tackle or whatever. But he is the one who can whip the ball in and around the outside to Salah, cross the ball across, in and around the back, pinpoint, over the top for a through ball for someone like Nunes, who's lightning, because Nunes, Torres and Owen, this kind of player would love Trent's balls over the top, because Gerrard does get that ball, but Trent is always in a position to play that ball, whereas Gerrard sometimes is on the half turn, right? Because this is something as well. Gerrard on a half turn has more tools to deal with that ball playing than Trent does, because Trent is not the best on the half turn. Sometimes his touch is a little bit wayward. I know, Gerrard slip and all that kind of thing. It happens to the best of players, but Gerrard is definitely better on a half turn and has more tools for getting himself out of congested area than Trent does. Trent needs a bit of space to operate, and Trent is better playing with the vision and the game ahead of him, because then he can dictate the play as soon as the ball gets to him, whereas Gerrard can make things happen even when it doesn't look like there's an opportunity to make things happen, just through endeavour, graft, passion. When you're looking for someone to really get up there, win that crucial head in air, Gerrard's better than Trent in the air. Istanbul, Gerrard header. Reese's cross wasn't a great cross, but Gerrard arched his neck and flung it in. I don't think Trent can score that kind of goal. Trent can score the long range bangers. Trent can run in, be the last man a la Lampard, get the ball and slot it in. But Trent isn't the one that really arrives at the back post, and Trent doesn't go in and beyond the final line to do the one-on-one against the goalkeeper. Gerrard can do this in the advanced position. Even if Trent was in that advanced position, he doesn't have the tactical and technical ability of a player who originated in that position. Now, you're talking about someone who moves in that position like Kevin De Bruyne, because Kevin De Bruyne was a right winger at the start. But you know what? That actually helped him, because he has the dribbling capability, the one-on-one capability, the capability to get behind the line, and expectation of what the striker or winger, the type of balls and the weighted balls and the measurement of balls that they expect him to receive. So that facilitates him in a more advanced position. But saying that, he can also play in a deeper position. But at the same time, Trent is a better defender than De Bruyne. They have pros and cons. Let's put it this way. Trent is the best right back. De Bruyne is the better central midfielder, attacking midfielder. Trent is probably the better right midfielder, but De Bruyne is definitely the better right winger. Okay, De Bruyne can play the right midfield as well, but then you're kind of shafting him a bit, because you're expecting the defensive, shift on that right hand side to track the on-rushing winger, to track the overlapping fullback, which is why not many teams actually play a right midfielder these days. They play a right wing back or a right fullback that allows you to push in that space, or a right winger who pins the left back, or is always the constant threat. This is why Gerrard was so valuable. It's not just the fact that he is a quality player, but actually the fact that he nullified Ashley Cole better than any player in history nullified Ashley Cole. We have a few of these players actually. Lucas Leiva on Yaya Toure, Lucas Leiva on David Silva, Gerrard on Ashley Cole. These kind of nullifying players were amazing. Mascherano on Kaká. Unfortunately, we didn't get the result there, but these type of players one-on-one, I don't think any other player played that particular player better than the players we had at Liverpool. Anyway, just my take on it. Steven Gerrard, a legend of the club, fantastic. I don't think there's any midfielder that comes close to his all-round game. With Frank Lampard, I would say Michel Platini was the prototype for Frank Lampard, arriving late, getting those goals, long shots, either foot, playing with a big front man as well. Platini could dominate a game, goal-scoring midfielder of highest caliber. Frank Lampard, probably the best goal-scoring midfielder, and I hate to say that, but he is a phenomenal goal-scoring midfielder. Those numbers are incredible, and he is not anywhere near a striker, not even a shadow striker. He is predominantly an attacking midfielder and sometimes a central midfielder. Gerrard, for me, definitely better than Lampard, but Gerrard is tactically indisciplined, but he's better than Trent at doing everything a midfielder needs to do. There's nearly no aspect of the game of a midfielder that I think Trent is better than Gerrard at, and I even say that Gerrard's a better right back. I'd say Gerrard would have been a better right back than Trent if he started and played his whole career at right back. But Trent is a fantastic player in his own right, and don't take it for granted. To have that so much capability, to have that prowess, to have the responsibility of a team, of a whole beloved fan base on your shoulders from a right back position, to make something happen and to get as a crucial point against City, to be Mr. Dependable, to be our Scouse heartbeat. Trent is one of a kind, absolute legend, and he will retire probably as the greatest right back that Liverpool have ever had. He will be one of the greatest players that Liverpool have ever had. But he's not Steven Gerrard, but it's okay. He's Trent Alexander-Arnold. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Drop a like if you did. Subscribe as well. It really, really helps the channel. I want to do live streams of the games in the Japanese kind of commentaries. Really, really funny. They get way too hyper, way too excited. Oh, nani kore, kono ute, gambare, oh, goal. You hear the kind of South American way Japanese commentary do that as well sometimes. They're like, sugoi da ne, sono kakui no kami, sono beautiful Nunes hair flowing like the wind. I'll leave you with that. Peace.